What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. In this video today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to specifically be taking a look as Bitcoin is sitting on the edge of the abyss about what comes next as this battle between the bulls and the bears continue. Obviously, the bears extending their momentum, clearly winning this round. And on the bull side, they are hanging on by a thread. We're going to take a look at that and more in this video. If you enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and do subscribe to the channel. Let's start off where we left it off, and that was two areas of stop losses. The first stop loss, this green line over here, was hit yesterday. Price is now extended well below that and now sitting right above the other alternative stop loss. This is where for people who are taking this bullish breakout of this trend line that was extending all the way up to the November high. Now, in light of today's CPI reading, which came in extraordinarily hot, we'll go into the specifics of it at the end of this video. Right now, I want to focus in on charts. That makes little sense over here, or there's little hope involved for those that continue to hold on to the bullish case, as we have to follow the technicals, and we are getting ready not only for an extension of that last breakdown retest and then clean resumption down, very clean entry for bears to extend that breakdown. The bullish case over here, the technical breakout of that trend line break, I mean, hanging by a thread, it doesn't look good. I've seen stranger things happen. I'm reminded of what happened last summer when we saw a similar structure taking place, and that was those lower highs and then price on a closing basis coming out and taking out these stops all across the board before then sending it up. Probably not a good idea to be holding on any type of hopium at this point in time, but nevertheless, and you can see that similar structure though. You can see it's almost identical to what was taking place, including those lower highs, price coming down, already taking out the lower lows, similar to as it did over here. And then finally, that last move down before up. I'm also reminded of one other thing. I mean, it truly is what it is. And let's take a look at that. And that's right over here. And this was that super, super hot CPI print in July, the 9.1 surprise to the upside. And price that morning was able to retrace. It had already retraced upwards by this time of day, by the opening bell. And here we're going to see whether or not Bitcoin is able to see, take the low out over here, take out that last line of hope, and then quickly, probably, if it does, come in and test those yearly lows, 17,500. Right below that, for me, is a significant level. This is the level I've pointed out before. It is where price found resistance in the previous cycle, all-time high. We talked about that briefly yesterday. Before the bull market run, flip that into support. And that's what briefly held so far off of the 3 commas and the Luna, and the Celsius. There's been so many blowups this year, it's hard to keep track. And that would come into question, or it looks like that it potentially could come into focus really quick. And listen, a lot of people are wondering so far, 1 hour after the CPI release, hey, we're seeing equity markets take out their June lows and extend way down. Bitcoin is still holding in. Does that mean that Bitcoin is going to hold here and extend up? Look, there's a big trading day ahead of us. The opening bell has just rung. I want to go ahead and pay attention to price rather than try to go ahead and hold on to any type of, or read too much into 1 hour's worth of price action. Sure enough, so far, we are seeing the lows hold over here. Technically, this breakout's still intact. We came within, let's say, $50 of that stop loss being taken out. It's still in there. I wouldn't be surprised if that stop is run today. We'll find out as we continue throughout this video, or throughout this day, I should say. Here's a look right here before the CPI reading. This was moments before, minutes before, and you can see price coming into that clone trend line. And then upon the CPI print, taking it out with gusto. Again, reminded of CPI in July and the fake out. We could see a breakdown occurring over here. It looks like if we get a close below that, this is looking at log scale just to give a different vantage point. That's a clean breakdown. We wanted to make sure that everyone was paying attention to be able to manage their risk, whether it was a breakdown or a breakout. So now is where you need to really be alert. If this breakdown continues, you want to be on the right side of it, right? You want to, well, I think that you might want to be short, or if you're only on the buy side, you want to be on the sidelines. Now, this is negated when, right? We have this trend line over here as one area to use, one level to use, that if you were to see price above 20,500 at that point in time, that's probably where you would set your stop loss if you're taking a new position. I mean, the new position is perhaps a little bit late. CTM not able to take a short position ourselves. We're just neutral on this trade over here, not short on the Bitcoin, and just waiting and watching to see what happens. So a little bit of indecision. I know people like to be told what is going to happen next, but the thing is that what you need to do is focus in on levels and learn to manage your risk around that levels. The best level I could give you right now today would be if you are picking up a new short on this news, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at where you're getting out, where you're wrong. In this particular instance, where you're wrong would also happen to be where you should probably be positioned on the long side as well. It's not always that case, but in this case it is, because we've come down to the pinnacle of this triangle over here, and this was the make or break it area. One other vantage point I want to take a look at with you, and that's just viewing this right now on the linear, and you can see that we've had from the linear a very clear, I was going to say a very clear breakdown. Again, I know people don't like a little bit of, let's say, indecisiveness. It's what the market's showing right now, right? If you're really trying to line this up, do you wait for a close below? Are you waiting for a close below this line today? Or are you following here and tracking on the linear? In that case, you have what is the stop for that long entry, right? You have to get below there before you would trigger short. A close above this line, not trying to give you any type of hopium, a close above that line would negate that breakdown. And then, in fact, we would be looking at something similar to what happened in July. So, look, you got to stay with it. You got to make sure that you stay in front of it. That's the type of work it takes to stay on the right side of the market. No question about that. This was the post to put out a few days ago. I was talking about its gain time as we were consolidating within that range, and that we were probably looking at 18,200 first, and then either a breakout to the upside or a breakdown. That's exactly what is happening here this morning. We have traded down to 18,200. From here, it's a question of whether or not we break down or break out. Neither one of those things has happened yet. Markets pricing in now, as of this morning, a 96% chance of a 75 basis point hike in November, and then also beginning in now to price in 100 basis point hike as well. Obviously, right now, very low probability of that. Do you remember when Fed Chair Powell said that inflation was transitory? Do you remember when he said that he does not see multiple 75 basis point rate hikes? Here we are, and we continue forward, yet everyone continues to trust the Fed. Ethereum over here, we were talking about its weakness as it just went sideways, never even kicking off any green rockets over there and holding on to that short trade. That trade is now extending into profit. That is how you stack sats and build cash reserves. Trading Ethereum offers much more alpha, and we have another trade here that quickly and quietly is bleeding well into profit. This is for those that are looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin buy side only, spot only, right? And you are just continuing to sit on the sidelines. That is a position of power. You are protecting that precious capital, waiting to put it to work at the right time. The next time we have any opportunity to see any of these green arrows rocking off, I will make sure that you know about it and are in front of it. Let's take a quick look at what's going on here with the CPI. We saw the headline CPI rise 0.4% month over month, which was double the expectations. And core CPI once again printed hotter than expected. One thing of note, and I think that I just want to make sure that we get into it today, is that we're looking at shelter, trying to find out over here, right? We saw the shelter index rise 6.6 year over year, accounting for over 40% of all the total increase in the CPI without food and energy. So when you take away food and energy, the greatest makeup of the CPI is shelter. That's up 40% year over year. And that data is delayed 6 to 9 months into the market. Real-time rent data is now negative month over month. That points to coming out in the future into 2023. We are going to see month over month. We're going to see year over year the CPI coming in sharply. That is a lagging indicator, though. Just wanted to make you aware of it. We're here on the edge of the abyss. It's too soon to say whether or not we've broken down. That battle continues between the bulls and the bears. Again, anyone who took this breakout over here, right, and you get ahead and you crafted that trade with a stop loss over that last swing low before the breakout, you've already took your stop and you're sitting over here on the sidelines and you're waiting and you're watching. We have some levels we looked at on the upside for when you might want to get into the market. Whether you're looking at log or linear, that level was around 20,500 above that last swing high. That would be a breakout of the triangle, the pendant that we were looking at. On the downside over here, that long, if you took a stop loss over the last swing low, swing low, or this swing low, I should say, because we, at the time of the trade, looked at both of those potential areas to place a stop loss. Again, this is just to provide information for you to go ahead and be able to view the market and make your own decisions. This was the other area. That trade's still holding in by a hair. So technically, the battle does continue between the bulls and the bears, even though bear sides, sell side momentum, obviously, with the greater strength kicking in hard. And today, we could crash over the edge of the abyss. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, do so now. On your way out, if you enjoyed the content, please go ahead, hit the like button, leave a comment. I'll talk to you all later. Have a beautiful day, everyone.